Welcome to the Living Proof Recovery Podcast. We're your host. I'm Evan. This is Brian. On tonight's episode, we do have a guest with us to kind of share a little bit of his experience, strength, and hope with you guys. So I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself real quick.
Hey guys, appreciate y'all having me out. Name's Johnny Edlin. Recovering alcoholic since since December 31st, 2012. I woke up the next morning was January 1st, so I used January 1st as my sobriety date. Local here in Louisville, Kentucky, and recovering from a hopeless state of body and mind that at one point seemed like it was the normal, and there was no other way to live but that way. So appreciate you guys having me over, and look forward to doing the show with you.
So are we talking about recovering from drugs, alcohol, both, or what are we?
Yeah, so mainly drugs. Alcohol was in the beginning, but went from drinking a little bit, smoking a little bit of weed, and then slowly progressed through the designer drugs, the cocaine, and eventually into my true love, opiates.
I was gonna guess, like, you strike me as an opiate.
Yeah.
Like, we're all three opiate guys.
Yeah.
So,
we can spot them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
With tabs and Percocets and all that back in the late 2000s, and then Mr. OC introduced himself to me somewhere around 2007, 2006. I met him. And then I knew from that point forward that we were a match made in heaven, and rode that train for a good solid 5 years of oxys, and eventually into heroin and stuff too. Once they stopped making the OCs.
Yeah. Literally identical story. Literally identical.
We're a generation of medicated.
Yeah.
That happened to correlate with Eminem and the rise of late 2000s, early 2000s hip hop and culture and stuff, and I would say that we're a pretty large generation of opiate addicts across the United States.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I missed. I don't know if missed is the right word, right? Like, but I wasn't using opiates when the oxys were around, right? I was just drinking alcohol at that point, and then once, I guess that was, kind of done away with, I graduated, same way you did. Like, I started with the tabs, then the Percocets, then the Roxys, but I didn't, in a way, like, I'm kind of envious of people, because I like, in a way, like, that sounds sick of me to say, because
you did miss out, man.
Right? Yeah. Like, did I? But I did. Like, in a way, like, half of me is like, you missed out, and half of me is like, you might be dead today. So, that's just the way it goes. But, I was strictly alcohol and weed up until, I don't know, I was probably 28, 29, sober. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there was a bunch of us running around with hose clamps and stains on the bottoms of our shirts and stuff.
Green stains, yellow stains.
They don't know about that today, but.
Yep. And mine, like I said, mine was the same way. It went sports injuries. Dad always used before that, but my first significant injury at 16, they prescribed me to oxys, which was during that time. So it was just off to the races from there. You know what I mean? And then it went to the Opanas, and then obviously to the heroin, and then I became an IV drug user. So did you miss out? I don't know, because oxys got pretty fucking expensive towards the end.
Yeah, I probably couldn't have afforded that anyway. Well, I've found a way, I'm sure, but I always did.
Resourceful people, man.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we decide what we want. We find a way to get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The good thing about that is, like, once we get sober, we're still resourceful.
Absolutely.
Like, we can still find a way to make things shake and make things happen. So it's not necessarily a bad trait to have.
No, it's not. It's a learned trait too.
Yeah.
Sure, people can be naturally resourceful, but when you go through the life that we endured and lived through the crawling through the streets looking for a way, it does transfer over to sobriety I would say after some confidence is built, some short term. It takes a while once you dry out, sober up to regain some pride in yourself, looking in the mirror and realizing, all right, I can do this. And,
Yeah, it requires like another level of grit that a lot of people just don't have. That we have to have in order to survive. Like, because we were living on that level of survival for so long, and a lot of people don't have to go through that on a daily basis. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a good thing, that they don't. But at the same time, it kind of molds us into, tough motherfuckers. Is what it does.
Well, the normal person just can't relate at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of normal friends, I guess you would say, business associates and stuff, that it seems unbelievable to them. Like, man, you really did X, Y, and Z, or that was, and the same way that we didn't believe people could live sober.
That's a good point.
They look at us like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you really walked around with a needle in your shoe, and you were in jail, and just things like that sound crazy to them,
Yeah.
Believe it or not, your normal people don't fucking go to jail all the time. And,
Right.
Or at all.
Around with needles in their shoes.
Yeah.
It's shit they see on movies and TV and stuff. It's not
Or they
real
don't
life.
go to jail ever.
Yeah, that's
You know,
normal. It's
like-
pretty normal to not be arrested. believe it or not.
I know. That's just a crazy thought.
Yeah, it's crazy to us, and we're crazy to them. So,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's another thing, we share the world with those people. So we got sides on both sides of that fence,
Yeah.
So
So we kind of touched on we know what your poisons were, right? So where did those take you?
well, the end, man, was a dark place, but it didn't start that way. Of course, none of us started in our darkest place, or we probably wouldn't have started. Similar to you, man, I was a football star, man. I was very fast, very athletic, loved the game. At one point, I was very coachable, and and that was my love, my passion. It still is to this day. I lost it for a long time, but I never would have thought that I would end up a heroin addict after being an athletic machine for my early youth and into high school and stuff. I actually went to St. Xavier to play football, and made it through 3 months of school. Realized that at that point in time I'd already been getting in trouble and using, smoking weed and taking pills in school, stuff like that. Realized that school wasn't for me anymore. I just had to back up a little bit. My mom raised me, and she's the mom that you see in movies, or she worked her ass off to take care of me and my sister. Dad was one of us. He drank and lived a wild life, and I didn't see him very much at all growing up, so it was on her to do everything. And so my mom's side of the family was very hardworking people who, they went to work, they saved money, they didn't spend money on crazy stuff. That was their way of life, and that was how I grew up with that side of the family. So through sports and stuff, and once I got into middle school, I think I first started smoking weed and drinking the summer of 5th grade break. That 5th grade summer, and then not long after coming back into 6th grade, I decided that some lawnmower clippings in a baggie would sell to a kid in my class for $20.
Resourceful.
Yeah, and it worked. The kid gave me $20, and me and a friend of mine went and bought actual weed with that $20 and smoked it. And then the next day when I went back to school, the kid actually turned in the grass clippings to the principal and got me expelled.
I thought you were going to say he came back for more.
Oh, at first he was mad, but he actually told on me, turned it in, got us both expelled.
I'm sure he got something out of that
Trouble
too for buying
we
drugs
actually
at
both
school.
ended up at the same alternative school, so we both ended up in day treatment together. So that's probably, I got earlier memories of stealing for no reason, walking into people's house when I was a little kid. I've got some strange memories, like I said, of doing strange things as young, but the earliest that I remember using and stuff, probably around that time. And the lifestyle was more than just getting high and stuff too. You know, it was really about street stuff and selling and hustling, and pretty early on, the people that I hung around was involved in that kind of stuff. So by the time I had made it to high school, I was still playing football, but I had already developed other loves of being in the streets and going to parties and smoking and drinking and fighting, and all the stuff that comes along with that was starting to win over my heart versus competing on the field, you know. So right around high school there is when I really started experimenting hard with pain pills. And then 3 months into St. Xavier, I was like, well, this is just a bunch of dudes who are smart and they don't really have parties like I like to. And I turned 16 and dropped out of school and, you know, said that I was going to work, but really I just had a decent little connection on weed and started, you know, hustling and selling and stuff like that. And, yeah, that was, I don't even remember what exactly you asked me, but I don't know if that answered the question.
I think you answered it. I don't remember what it was either, but it sounded like a good answer.
Yeah, so I was, I guess I was.
Oh, where did that lead you?
So after we established you went through the whole opiate phase, you know, through that time. Where did that take you? Like at the end towards the end of your running, where did that take you?
Yeah. Well, at the very end of that running, I found myself where most of us do that don't die, in jail. Everything had advanced into heroin, and there's a whole bunch of in between. Of course, years of in between stuff and dealings and stuff, but it had landed me in jail again. Had burned all my bridges again, ran everything into the ground, and so this is the part that I was telling you about. Talking about myself too much.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm jail and using. And
Right. No.
So you mentioned earlier, you know, we were talking, and so you ended up at the Hope Center in Lexington, right? So how long were you there?
7 months. What is it they call it? Did you guys have to go through long-term treatment facilities like that?
No.
So they have a number of days that it takes to complete the program. I can't remember what it was now, but it's 8 months and so ever many days. So I was there for about 9 because my class was forging meeting sheets.
Of course, yeah.
Even in recovery, we were still trying to find a way to cheat.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do, we cheat.
Yeah, so when I went to Florida, I went through a program that was like 45 days inpatient, and then from there I went to their transitional living and was there for 9 months, but living, working, and you know, just adapting back to life. So I've been in some long term, and then I've been to just a 30-day program, and then you know, so I do.
That's all I've done, like the 30-day programs. So all right, so you're there for 8-9 months, something like that. Was there a point of time there where something clicked, or were you just like, I'm just going back out into my life? Or like what did the transition?
That's a great question, man. Yeah, because actually there was. So early on at the Hope Center, a big part of my sickness was, you know, I made brief mention to you guys, I think I mentioned it already, is from early on, my hero was Scarface. Okay. And, you know, one of the people a huge figure in my overall story of my life, who's passed away now, and I wouldn't talk about any of this if he wasn't already dead, but my grandfather was plugged in. He was a guy that wore a suit and jewelry and pinky ring, and like one of those dudes that you see in the movies. He was a connected guy. He could make people disappear for the right amount of money and stuff like that. And at about 17 or 18, I started doing business with him. And in a product that I was getting so much cheaper than anybody that I'd ever known, I was making money hand over fist. And at that point, shortly after I dropped out of school, I had understood that the mission was to make like Scarface. This was the life for me. I was born into this. It's a family thing, and we're going to keep doing this. So even fighting through sobriety, the whole time I was locked up, I was thinking, when I get out, I'm going to get back on top. And then the next time I would ruin everything, and then when I'm going to get out, I'm going to get back on top. So I always had this ideal in my head. Sobriety for me was selling drugs but not doing drugs. Like, I wanted to keep hustling. I wanted to keep using my connections, but all I had to do was just not be a fucking junkie, and then I can make a bunch of money, and everything's going to be fine. You know. So to answer your question, even about a couple months into the Hope Center, I was still trying to fake it. I'm going to make it through this thing. Everything that I make, money that I get here, I'm just going to save and save and save, and then I'm going to ride out of here, and then I'm going to go back to Louisville and rebuild my empire, if you will.
Right.
So somewhere one morning, as I was sitting in the homeless shelter at the Hope Center, similar to the Healing Place. I don't know if they still do that these days. I know they've got buildings now, like actual rehab facilities, but back in 2013, the homeless shelter was the rehab facility. So you're just laying in there with,
homeless population.
With the homeless population and stuff, and one morning I was walking in there to get my boiled egg and get ready for class or whatever, and some old man had just pissed all over his chair and was just sitting there and pissed, and it was dripping onto the floor. Everything stunk in there, and it just dawned on me. Something happened in that moment, that morning. That the class that morning was about step one, powerlessness, really the physicalology and mental obsession. Somewhere in that class, in what they call MT land, is where it dawned on me, like, dude, maybe this shit's for real. Like, maybe this is something wrong with my mind. So somewhere in that, in step one, in MT class, at the Hope Center in Lexington, as the homeless man pissed himself there, it dawned on me that, man, maybe these people know what they're talking about, and I should start listening. As I started listening, just like most of us, I heard it sounded like they were talking about me and talking about my problems. And then I was like, holy shit, these people might actually know what the fuck they're talking about. And maybe I shouldn't keep trying to get back on top again. Maybe I should fucking stay in Lexington and could just get a job somewhere around here and just hide under the cover, So somewhere in there, I started listening. Yeah, and things started making sense to me.
Now, at the Hope Center, was it like a requirement to work the steps and go to X amount of meetings? Was that a requirement there? Because I know the Healing Place it is.
Yeah. So it's a requirement there. At that point in time, I think they all worked under the recovery dynamics guidelines with community and meetings and the MT1, MT2, phase 1, phase 2, all that kind of stuff. You had to go through the process. But I'd also done the same program at Marion Adjustment Center. When I was doing time, I had to do SAP to make parole. So I knew that program. I knew all their talking points, and I had to fill out the packets. It's not as serious there, because you're really just kind of filling out packets, and nobody's holding each other accountable. What kind of shit is that?
Right.
Like, the rule was you had to hold 2 people accountable to finish the program. So, like, I'll give you a noodle, and I'll tell on you for not hanging your towel up, and then I'll give you a stamp, and then I'll tell on you for not sweeping your room out, and then you trade telling on each other to finish the program.
Right. Yeah.
So I was familiar with SAP and recovery dynamics and stuff, but it's kind of similar there at the Hope Center, with community and stuff. Some people are just kind of trying to make it through. The goal is to make parole, so it's, if you're there under DOC, you complete the program or you go back to jail. So 70 to 75% of the DOC people in there, I would say, they're just trying to get to the other side. Okay. A lot of them's not even drug addicts too. There's a lot of people I went through the Hope Center with that weren't truly drug addicts. They were just trying to fucking get out of jail.
Yeah.
So is this where, I know we kind of briefly spoke earlier, it sounds like this is which you've had that first step experience, right? And you realized it's either something's got to change, I'm going to die, I'm just going to stay in prison the rest of my life, whatever that was for you, however that looked. Is this where you first really started? Did you get a sponsor at this point and start working the steps and get plugged in, or did that come a little later on after the Hope Center, what did that look like?
Yeah. So I got a sponsor in the Hope Center. I did start taking the program serious. So I had my first kid while I was at the Hope Center, and that kind of, there's spiritual experiences and spiritual awakenings, and it did seem that God granted me a lot of grace in my experience, because right after I had gotten to the Hope Center a month later, my firstborn son came. I was actually allowed to go back to Louisville. They gave me a day pass for an MT 1 or 2, which they don't usually do that. But got to go see my first son be born, and coming back from that and having the experience that I talked about earlier, something started to change in me. My spirit did start to rise, and understanding that, all right, this is a real thing, and if I don't change my life here, then this is just going to keep repeating. And it's right, everything just kind of spiritually happened at the same time as the book was happening. It all kind of came together, and so I got me a sponsor. I did start seriously working the steps, and that absolutely started to take some effect. You hear people talk about if you it works if you work it, catchphrases, slogans like that, and it is true that if you actually dive into this, it's a good therapy. I mean, it changed my life. It did. Yeah. It's what got me sober. 12 steps. My sponsor at the time was probably not ready to be a sponsor for anybody. I mean, he's kind of a dipshit, but it was somebody that I was able to tell some of the grimiest shit that I'd done in my whole life to. And he probably just went and told everybody, but at least I got it off my chest,
Right.
And he did know about the program, but he just wasn't mature at the time. And but yeah, man, that started working the steps and going through the book and meeting people and talking, and somewhere in that range, it started to become part of my identity and who I was and the goals that I was trying to achieve.
So we were talking earlier, before we started recording, about like first impressions, right? Like of your first impressions of Alcoholics Anonymous, of going into a meeting and certain things standing out, striking you as odd, right? Like what is this, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. So we were kind of, just to refresh, right? We were talking about you found it weird that people could talk for an hour just about themselves, right? Yeah. Which makes sense, right? Because we're all selfish, right? So a lot of us like to get up and tell you about all the fucked up shit I did, right? I want to tell you, it's like it turns into a big fishing story. Like, oh, you caught one this big, oh, I caught one this big. I'm going to tell you about
more than everybody else.
Yeah, let me tell you about how bad my life was, right? I gotta top you. But then you mentioned something else, about how some things seemed a little culty.
Yeah.
Right. So, let's dive into that a little bit. Like, so what seemed culty about it?
So, full disclosure, my family was Catholic growing up, so I was pretty used to chants already and church and stuff. But it seemed culty that everybody wanted to give me a hug when I walked in the room. Like, that's fucking weird, man. Don't hug me. I don't know you. Especially in the life that. The lifestyle that I know a lot of us came up in, and I come up in, that there's rules to this shit, staying alive. You don't fucking talk about yourself. Don't talk about people you know. You don't fucking hug strangers and like trust people like that. There's rules to this shit, and AA didn't follow those rules. People talked about how they were drug addicts, and people wanted to give you hugs and offer you coffee and ask how you were doing, and it all seemed like they wanted something from me, or this was. It smelt and tasted super fake to my shark senses, if you will, my street senses. And then as you get into the meeting, people are, it's kind of like a Catholic church, and also with you. And the little chants, that's a Catholic chant, not an AA chant, but the little things that they would say, it can be, it can throw you off at first. It can throw you off at first, but as you get going down the road, I started realizing that, all right, well, it's kind of weird, but it's a good weird, it's helping this weirdness is helping everybody. So
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times, like, we think things that are different are weird, right? 'Cause
Yes,
that's not what
yeah.
we're used to. And I'll tell you something that I thought was kind of culty, or I still do think is kind of culty, or it makes us look like a cult, is when we put certain, how do I say it, certain mantras out there on things like 90 meetings in 90 days, things like that. Like, things like that make it seem kind of culty. You know, like there's these certain guidelines that you have to follow, and there are certain guidelines that we need to follow, or at least be in the vicinity.
absolutely, especially
right.
in the early recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
There's certain ones that
You can't
we
trust
need.
yourself from that point.
Right.
Right.
Follow the rules.
There's certain things that we need to follow. There's certain
Yeah.
rules, and a lot of times we kind of buck that too. Is because
It's our nature.
I'm not used to following rules. Right? What the I'm breaking all these rules, right? But you know, like, so it's things like that, or like the hugging thing, right? It doesn't bother me to hug people, but at the same time, everyone has their own right. If you don't want to be touched, you shouldn't have to be touched.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
some
they didn't
people
ask you first. They were
Right,
just like,
yeah.
"Hey, welcome."
right. It's like some people, like, it's just good manners or respect for somebody. Like, we don't know where these people are coming from. You know,
Yeah.
this person could have just been raped in a crack house, and they're coming here and they don't want you touching them.
Yeah.
Some strange man. Okay, have you ever noticed?
sure.
Like, I always thought it was funny. It's like the most busted up guy, right? Oh,
Go around hugging
be
everybody.
volunteer. I want to be the greeter, right? And Johnny walks up, Evan walks up, I walk up. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the meeting. Like, some pretty girl comes up. Let me give you a hug.
Come on in, baby.
come here. Let me hug you. Let me hug you. And it's like, come on, man. Like, all of a sudden you want to hug everybody. Like, it's kind of creepy. at
What about
times.
I know that I don't see this in outside area AA, but in the Hope Center and other facilities, if you just step up and you want to say something, for example, and you just start talking and people yell, "Who are you?
Oh,
Who are you?" Like that's
Yeah.
just like,
yeah.
dude, all right, I'm a fucking alcoholic. I'm Johnny, even though I've known you for 6 months now. Who are you?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't like that one.
Weird, man.
I'm not a fan of it. It's like, just let the men talk.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like I think it's an ego thing. Or I don't know what it is. It's like, but
Yeah, if you're doing it to be funny, that's funny. You know, like I
Right,
get it.
right.
You're making fun of the other people that do it seriously.
Right.
But if you're doing it seriously, well, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know, like,
relax.
Yeah.
Relax. Like what you were going to say has some kind of different amount of weight to it because you said your name.
yeah.
You know, like, it doesn't really.
The
Yeah.
sticklers for the, you know, man, I found a big divide between, you guys know what I'm talking about, the AA and the NA divide of
Yeah.
announcing whether you're an alcoholic or whether you're a drug
Yeah.
addict. Like,
Right.
You can't say that you're a drug addict if you're an AA, or you can't say that you're an alcoholic if you're an NA, because, like, what the fuck does it matter? And why do people take themselves so seriously that it matters that much to them?
Yeah.
I understand that in the late 30s and 40s, people wasn't running around shooting smack that much around Bill Wilson and them. You know, I
Right.
get it. But why is it so important to you to split those hairs? And
Right.
with a lot of those old timers, man, it's important to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to fucking be important to me though.
Right.
I'm
And
gonna
that's-
say what I want to say.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I will say. It has evolved over time. When I first came around and it was introduced to AA years ago, that's how it was. A lot of the old timers was like, whoa,
That's an outside issue.
if you're here, you're an alcoholic. You address yourself as an alcoholic.
Yeah.
If you go to NA, you can say you're an addict. But nowadays, it's so rare in AA to see someone who is just strictly an alcoholic. It's
Yeah.
so rare. So,
Very rare.
but all of those things, when when I first started coming around, it was like looking at people like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, we're doing all these readings. There's a lot of reading going on, and everybody's reciting it together at certain points. And
The readings.
you know, there's a lot of it that, you know, and like I said earlier, maybe we are in a cult. I don't know, but
Right.
you know, I love AA. It's done so much for me in my life, and you know, at first that it was that way. It was like, man, who's this dude trying to hug me right now? And you know, now I never really like go and initiate the hug unless it's like Brian or somebody I'm close to. I'll still start with the
You gotta
handshake.
go with the hand and then the hat.
Right.
What
you
about
know.
the time
Or
I-
the awkward ones where it's like, are we handshaking, hugging, or are we
Jeremy-
bumping? Right.
Jeremy giving out
Yeah.
tips. But what about the
but-
time that you dared me to smell that guy's hair?
Oh yeah, I like to mess with people in there. I'm like, smell this dude's beard when he walks up here, and hug him and smell his beard. You know,
Definitely
like,
got a drink after that. So.
Yeah, I smelled. I went, how you doing? I'm Brian. And he was like, oh, fuck. And I was just like, no, I'm just fucking with you. I was like, he dared me to do it. So I'm just fucking with you. But he was some new guy, and he probably never came back. I probably read that guy off.
Yeah, the outside issue stuff, that was really weird to me. I mean, and that still is, and I've always been a hold your ground kind of person when it comes to, you know, if somebody tells me you can't or you're supposed to or like whatever, I always think for my own on shit like that. Even if it is the rules, for example. I mean, I have these discussions. Me and Katie my wife, talk about AA all the time. You know, and we discuss the deep rules and stuff. You have to put yourself in that spot when they wrote the traditions. When they were
Exactly.
These are totally
I was getting
different
ready to bring this
times.
up.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
So when AA says they don't have any opinion on outside issues, they're talking about World War fucking II. They're talking about the politics of the time and everything that was going on. The same as if somebody was to walk into the Pigeon Roost or whatever and start talking politics. That's the outside issues is your politics. They wasn't worried about somebody mentioning smoking marijuana in a meeting.
Right.
So it's very misconstrued, and just like in any other, realm, people pick and choose what they want to make it mean what they want it to mean.
Absolutely.
About their argument and stuff. So when they were talking about outside issues, they wasn't talking about marijuana, guys. World War
Yeah.
II was about ready to start as a hyper political era. They didn't want
So-
people coming into meetings talking politics.
As far as like the traditions go, so
That's where I was getting ready to go.
and we've talked about it on the show a lot too, with guests, by ourselves. So I always try to respect the traditions, right? That's the traditions of AA. And I always try, I don't want to intentionally disrespect it, but at the same time, just like you mentioned, we've talked about it on here, times have changed. So like when we started this podcast, we had a lot of people from AA that had a lot
Give us some
of
pushback.
sideways shit to say about how you're breaking traditions. And I'm like,
Anonymity.
I don't give a fuck. Like, it's mine. I can do the fuck I want with it. You know what I mean? So a lot of people had problems with what we were doing here. You know, but at the same time, that was where I was like, you know, and they tried to spin it to press radio films and all that. And I'm like, man, like it's 20, you know, at the time it was 2025. We're not talking about 1935 anymore. Like times have evolved. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, do you think that what would have happened to Bill Wilson's head? I think it would have exploded if someone told him, "Hey, in 2026, you're going to be walking around with a telephone in your pocket, and you can watch videos on it. Everyone is constantly going to
He
be
would say,
holding
"What's a
it."
video?"
Yeah, right.
Right.
Like they didn't see the internet coming. They didn't see podcasts coming. They didn't see YouTube coming. Like, and so my whole thing with that is like Evan said, like we try to respect things. Like these are our own opinions that we share on here. We don't represent any 12-step program, but those are they are traditions. They're not rules.
right.
Like there's a difference between a rule and a tradition. Like these are like guidelines, right? But it also tells us, and you know, I read the Big Book a lot, and it tells us in there that that we are to grow in understanding and effectiveness, right? Well, it's 2026, and the way of me being effective, you know, for me personally, is doing something like this. Like, because I've had several people reach out to me and say, dude, like, I watched your podcast, like, it's helping me. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, so I'm being effective. We are being effective, I should say, right?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of different ways today to reach people. You know, we don't have, like you said earlier, right? Times are different. You know, they had drunk people staying in their houses, you know, like because they didn't have anywhere else to go. But we have treatment centers now, right?
Yeah, where they just threw them in asylums.
Yeah, yeah, like things are different today. You know, that doesn't mean that, you know, we just disregard everything, but it's like we have to be able to grow with the times.
Sure.
Like it's kids today, like if you take a 20-year-old kid today, they're not going to relate to a lot of the stuff that was written in 1935.
No.
You know, they're just not. Like we're going to have to present things in a different way, in a different manner, you know, and people get butthurt over stuff like that, you know, and that's their right, you know, like that's their right. But
For a bunch of junkies and alcoholics that sure do got a lot of rules and
Yeah.
you know, standards
I mean-
to hold up to, and
Yeah.
angry people, man. You know, people get
it's
mad.
people trying to play God.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm going to tell you what you should do with your life. You know,
Yeah, and one of it, like in the book, it specifically, I'm not saying it word for word, but it says that our hope is that AA can reach the public and change lives. But how do you do that if you just stay in a meeting? We got to go. So what better way to do it in 2026 than through the internet?
the internet's
You know.
full of it.
Right.
It's not like we're the first people to ever do it.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking,
You know,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, people know what AA is today. It's not like some hush hush secret society.
It's definitely not as taboo as it
No.
once was. You know,
No.
people are a lot more open to talking about
Yeah.
alcoholism, drug addiction, because so many people are affected by it. So I think especially with our generation, and you know the shit that we went through, people are a lot more aware of that kind of stuff these days. Cause, and so I think that our generation is probably the most. I don't even know how to phrase this. We had a shit ton of drug addicts come out of our generation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people are aware.
Opiates,
of that.
crack, meth.
Crack came
Yeah.
before us. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we had the crack epidemic, and the opiate epidemic followed that.
And
So,
the shit that's out there nowadays, it's like, yes, like I went through that whole opiate epidemic and then into heroin, but
It's decimated.
and even
populations.
like my last relapse, man, like the shit that's out there nowadays, it ain't like it was years ago, like when you got sober.
yeah.
Like that was heroin back in the day. That shit that they're out there now selling is heroin. It's not fucking heroin anymore. So like it's more like people are just becoming more educated on it,
Yeah.
on what's out there, and people, the stigma's still there for addicts, right? But it's not as
yeah.
hardcore as it was years ago.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
say
so-
like before maybe it was like a 9 out of 10. It's like a 3 out of 10. You know, it's still there.
yeah,
It's still there, but so many people are affected by it. And recovery has grown so much too.
Yes.
That people see that, oh, these people, they're not the armpit of society.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Successful
these are actually people.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we should treat them as such. You know, maybe they're sick people. You know, and that's kind of a good transition, right, into the things you're doing now, right? So this is the first time we've ever met. You know, so but you were talking earlier about a couple of different things like that. What's going on with your life now? You know, said you're Mr. Mom. You know, you own your own business, coach football.
Yeah.
You know, let's dive into some of that stuff. Like, tell me if this is true for you. Like, this was true for me. When you took away the one thing that I loved the most in this world, which was alcohol and pain pills, right? I had to get something in my life that was better than that, or else I was going to go back to it, right? So, is that true for you?
Absolutely. That's my favorite topic of recovery, guys. It's because, you know, watching all the people that I got sober with, you know, 13 years ago, the way they were through treatment, after treatment, moving on into life, and then people I've met since then that, like I said, it seems like a lifetime ago, but what you just said, transitioning from the streets and drug addiction, alcohol addiction, transitioning back into the real world, how do you do that? Right? In the beginning, it starts off very structured. All right. So you need a place of employment. You need to be doing something. This is just for me. Everybody's different. I needed some structure in my life. I needed the gym. I needed exercise. I needed to be actively doing daily and meetings, hanging out with other people like me, just very involved in AA, had a warehouse job, and in the gym all the time. I had to fill that void in the beginning of, I'm spending my whole life revolves around finding something, meeting somebody, going somewhere, doing something. Now all of a sudden, I've got nothing. I've got all this time on my hands. I really needed in the beginning to be essentially covered with an AA blanket and given structure, right? I couldn't trust my own thoughts. I couldn't trust what I was going to do next. I leaned on my sponsor very heavy, leaned on my support group very heavy. In the beginning, in my opinion, you need to be very heavily involved in the program. You need that structure, like we talked about. You need to know where the hell you're supposed to be next.
Yeah.
Right. There needs to be a next at all times, which is why probably drug court and other programs keep you so damn busy. Like you need to have somewhere to be.
Yeah, for sure.
In the beginning, that is super important. Where I think a huge disconnect, and this is just what I've seen over time, this is just what I've witnessed, is people keep that going for so long down the road, and their whole life just becomes Alcoholics Anonymous and meetings, and that's it. Yeah. It is so crucial that you expand. Branch as a tree. The base of this tree started growing from Alcoholics Anonymous. That is its what do you call the center of a tree? The core, maybe. The core is AA. That's where you came from. But you have to start growing branches off into different parts of your life, whether it's health and fitness, entrepreneurship, getting involved in. With me, my passion has always been competition. If I would have stayed the course in my life, I probably don't have the build to be a Division I college athlete or anything like that, but I could have definitely been a graduate assistant and continued into coaching professionally, right? Or went into the military, and I think I probably would have climbed ranks pretty well. I love strategy and competition. So branching off into competitive realms, athletic realms, coaching, family, building something, doing something, So many people that I knew in recovery in the beginning just kind of created that identity of like, I am AA is me, and I'm just this is all I am.
Problem with that
eventually dies out.
Problem with that, what you're talking about, right, is the one thing that is designed to set you free and put you back out in the real world as a productive member of society has become your religion.
Yeah,
that's what happens to these people is, I have to go to a meeting every day. I missed a meeting. I gotta go to two today because I didn't go to one yesterday. And it's just like I'm pushing my family aside and everything. It's like I gotta do my recovery. Which, don't get me wrong, like recovery is, like you said, right? It's the basis of everything. But we didn't recover to live in meetings. We didn't recover. This is just our opinion because we've talked about this on here, right? Like I didn't get sober just to go to a meeting. I got sober so I can have a purpose in life, so I can reintegrate into society, so I can be the son that I was supposed to be, so I can be the father that I'm supposed to be, so I can be the husband, the employee, the brother, the friend, all of these things, right? Like, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? It's not like, I can't do any of that stuff because of my recovery. Like, recovery is supposed to put us in a place to where we can go out and be an example in those places. Live your life. Go live life.
I was always told that I don't know if this is somewhere in the Bible or not, but go have an adventure. God wants you to be adventurous. You cannot just you can't shelter in place for the rest of your life because you are an alcoholic You got to take risk.
What's
You got to
the
go out in
point?
the world.
Yeah.
You've got to do things. You have to. And I think that people, they kind of get scared and nervous of what's next, and eventually they shelter in place so long that they get found by the disease, and they
Right.
go back out. Ego is really tough, and Alcoholics Anonymous too. We were just talking about this. What I've found is the people that love talking about themselves the most and stand up and yell and then just get going on and on about it. Like, you'll see those people come and go over and over. At least in my experience,
That's
Yeah.
true.
the better speakers in this shit that know all the quotes and all this, and just you'll hear people in the meeting like while this person's talking. I mean, they're going on, and the people are listening to them like they're the fucking preacher or something.
Right.
And then what happened to such and such? He's back out there, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they are. There's so many patterns that I've seen in people that struggle to stay sober, man, and so yeah, you have got to transition eventually. Like I said in the beginning, stay tight. Keep the ship tight.
Yes.
Keep order. Do what you're supposed to do, and then you'll know when the time is right. Opportunity will present itself to take that job, or to take that opportunity, or to do that risk, or maybe and a huge part of my service work has been coaching youth football. I mean, I love it. Every year I've had 25 to 35 new kids that look at me, and we set out. I mean, heck, football season's a long time. It's 3 nights a week and games on Saturdays, and you spend a lot of time with these kids, and they look up to you.
Yeah.
They're like you're a huge role model in their life. I remember the regard that I held my coaches in as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
They were special. And now all of a sudden that's you, and you're responsible for that, and finding new avenues to bloom in and to grow into, with you guys starting a podcast, the things we were talking about before the show.
Yeah.
You need to have things going on in your life, because AA is not a blanket to lay under. It is a flower to grow from. It is a tree to grow from, and you need to get out there. You need to have an adventure. You need to take some risk.
Yeah.
A little bit down the road.
That's very
Yeah.
well said.
Yeah. And
Very well said.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I know that's the way that Brian looks at it, as the same as I do. So like in the beginning for me, that's how it was. I knew I had to have some structure and stick to it and go to certain meetings and do all, but that's not why I got sober. I didn't get sober to live there, like Brian said. And now it's to the point to where, and thank God, and it's because of the work that I put in, and it all started with AA. But like when shit pops up in my life today, my first thought isn't, I better take my ass to a meeting right now. Like, I've been given a life with a set of tools that, like we've talked about, you still practice the principles and all these things in my daily life, to where I'm able to handle situations now,
Yeah.
to where I don't have to go sit in a room immediately and know the only way I'm going to be okay is if I'm surrounded by 20, 30 other alcoholics and addicts
I
to
gotta
tell me
share
I'm
on
going to be okay, and I got to go tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
I've been given this great life today, and it all started in AA. So I'll always be grateful, and I love AA and everything that I've gained from that foundation. But over time, like I said, life has like you mentioned, the tree. That's a great
Becomes
metaphor,
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of different
Right.
directions.
And
Moving
you know,
parts, life
it-
changes.
Things are going on.
I've gotten opportunities, like you said, different job opportunities, and to coach my kids in sports and do all these things, and that's what it's about. That's what life's about today. It's not just about having to go to a meeting every day, and I don't want to live that way. I'm grateful for everything I've gained through Alcoholics Anonymous, but I don't want that to do. Alcoholics Anonymous is not going to be my identity
Yeah.
for my whole life. You know what I
it's-
mean?
The way I look at it, man, is like I wear a lot of hats, right? Like, so I have many jobs. That's one of my jobs, is to show up to AA and help people in AA. But I also have other jobs, right? There's only so many hours in the day. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I coach in the Special Olympics, so I do that. I've been doing like personal training. I have that. You know, like I have all these things that I'm doing, right? And they're possible because of AA. So those are my roots, and I'm still involved in that. But it's not my life. It's not. I don't think it was designed to be that. Like I think it was designed not to be something that you have to do to stay sober. It's something that you get to do, and then we also get to do other things. I think God wants us, you know. So we talk about on here a lot, right? Of God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free, right? Well, if I have to run to a meeting every single day in order to be okay, I'm not free.
Yeah.
Right. I've traded one thing for another. Now I'm depending on this meeting for my happiness, for my sobriety, for, you know, my freedom, for my peace. Like I'm depending on that. I'm putting all my eggs into that one basket, right? Oh, I got to help somebody there. Well, yeah, I do. But I don't have to do that every day, because alcoholics are not the only kids that God has.
Yeah.
Right. They're all
Well, if you
over
can
the
help
place.
people that aren't alcoholics.
Exactly. Like
Then
that's the
then it's
point.
kind of like mind blown. Like, shit, hold on, I can help
Yeah.
other people too.
Right. Like I've sponsored a few guys to where they've said, "Hey, I just can't find anybody to sponsor." I'm like, okay, well, go help somebody else. Go help somebody out of AA. Go cut your grandma's grass. You know, go to a nursing home. Play chess or checkers with some veteran. Go do something. Go help somebody in some way. Doesn't have to be here. Like, we're all God's kids. Like, go help somebody. I don't think God's up there like, he helped that guy, but he's not a drug addict. So
Yeah, kinda
doesn't count.
You get a half a check. We're not going to completely check that off for you. You do two of those, and we'll count it as one alcoholic. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The amount of people whose lives you can change just by simply speaking with them. Something that we don't realize. You know, a lot of people that are just really need somebody to talk to sometimes.
Yeah.
And that changes.
People just want to be heard a lot of the time.
It's true.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point too. You know, we don't have to save the fucking world. You know, like, thank God.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a big responsibility of thinking that I've got to fix everything, or I'm going to fix this person. No, you're not. You don't have that much power. You're not fixing that person. You know, you can help them. You can sit down and listen to them. Maybe that's the way you're supposed to help that person. You know, maybe just sitting there and being a sounding board for somebody. You know, it could be a coworker. You know, there's all kinds of ways that, you know, that we can help people, but it doesn't have to. And we're saying all this, right? But I'm not saying people shouldn't go to AA meetings, you know, or that, because that's the way somebody will take it. You know, he's shitting on meetings. And we're not doing that. It's just like, but that's not like you said, that's a good way to phrase it, is that's not our identity. You know, because why'd we get sober then? You know, put my family on the back burner, you know, because I've got to go to a meeting at 6:00. That's what I do. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've you know, our bond ties us all together. You know, it says we're like survivors of the Titanic. You know, the common event, the common traumatic thing that we all went through is what brings us all together. So even though we've never spoke a day before this, we can all kind of look at each other and be like, opiates, you know. We've all been there. That was shitty.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about it. Just like somebody can be like, oh, shit, you were on the Titanic too? You remember that?
Yeah.
You know, alcoholics and drug addicts, man, we were talking about how resourceful we are at making shit work, but we are also able to have a lot of shit going on at the same time. A lot more than the normal people can handle. You know, so
chaos.
We can organize some fucking chaos, man.
No,
you know, I can have a lot of shit going on at the same time, and by nature I'm a very strategic. I prefer planning. You know, I prefer my day to be planned out. That's the kind of guy I am. I don't really like surprises that much.
Right.
But I am fully capable of having a bunch of shit going on at the same time and managing things on a better level than I think your normal people can. You know, we have some advantages as being former alcoholics and drug addicts, man. Not only can we chameleon our way into people's, I do sales for, so I can walk into somebody's house and quickly see what they're interested in and strike conversation with them and get them to open up to me and me open up to them, and I can quickly show them that I am a trustworthy person through conversation. I gained that skill from being in the madness.
Oh yeah.
A lot of my skills that I use every day to be successful, I learned in crawling in the streets.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
We have
I
an
look at it
advantage.
like we do have an advantage because we've kind of, in a way, and we kind of touched on it earlier, like been like tempered by fire.
Yeah.
It's like when people have been through the kind of shit that we've been through, whether it's in our childhood or as adults, like it just breeds a different kind of mindset. It breeds a different kind of person. Once we get to a place to where we're healthy, because if we're not healthy, then those things work against us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once we get to a place where we're healthy, it's like, the sky's the limit for people like us. Like I was telling you earlier, like we started this podcast. We are not like technologically audio, video.
We don't know what the hell we're doing.
We don't know. Like we didn't know. Like we got in here, we're trying to turn the computer on and shit, and trying to figure. Like we've never done any of this stuff. It was like we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like we'll figure it out. Do we have it figured out yet? Not really.
Yeah.
But we're better than we were 31 episodes ago. So we're getting there. But we're going. That's the point, right? Is that we can do things in recovery.
We're not scared of failure neither, man.
No.
Like shit.
It's the only way to succeed.
You gotta risk, you gotta try things, and then you fuck up, and that's part of it. Yeah, we're gifted with a lot of, we've learned a lot of tools that I think your normal everyday people don't have that we can really use to our advantage, which kind of leads to what you were talking about earlier with, how AA is prominent now, or at least people in recovery are prominent now because a lot of us are in doing well in our communities and stuff, and it's a good time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my life was completely changed, and it continues to change. Like, and that's the cool thing about recovery, right? Is that it doesn't just, I guess it can just stay the same, right? But if we're out there, like you said, you've mentioned it several times, taking risk. And that's so important. Like we took a risk and we failed, and then we took this risk and it's working out. Like it's not about failure. It's about like just keep going. Like just try something else. That
Try
doesn't work.
something new.
Try something else, man. Because here's the deal: if you don't take the risk, somebody else is going to. Right? And then what happens when you see someone else take it and they succeed at it? You're gonna get pissed. Right? It's going to be like, that could be me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why isn't that me? I can't catch a break. Why he did it? Why didn't I do it? It's just a life of regret.
It's also it's a self-discovering journey, man. When you go out here and you see something new that you want to try, or your mind goes to this idea or whatever, and regardless of Nick Saban, you're talking about listening to coaches' speeches and stuff like that. Or you didn't say coaches' speeches, but
Inky Johnson.
yeah, Andy Johnson. I listened to a lot of Saban, who's the greatest football coach of all time. I listened to a lot of his speeches and stuff, and now I've completely forgotten what I was getting ready to say. What was the last thing you said?
I don't know.
It happens.
Fucking drug addicts.
It happens.
Damn, it was good.
About regret. I was talking about taking risk. If you don't, somebody else is going to take it.
Oh, it's not the. You can't be outcome driven when you're doing things. People focus too much on what the outcome is going to be instead of the fucking process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you just focus on, here's what I need to do, here's the steps I need to get to here. This step, that step, that step, that step, and here. Everybody's just looking at that. I want that, I want that, I want that. Nobody's focused on the process that it takes to fucking get there.
Yeah.
Don't be so outcome driven, be process driven in
That's
all
a-
things of your life.
Yeah.
If you want to be highly successful and very precise in the things that you do, you know.
And it doesn't matter what it is, right? Because
Mhm.
that's a really good point. Because I had a guy that I was training, and he's a good friend of mine. We used to use together and everything, and he's sober now. And when he started, he was like, "I'm this weight," and then we working out for a while, and he was like, "Man, like I'm still right. Like when am I going to get here?" And I was like, "Dude, you're looking at it the wrong way." I was like, "You're looking for the finished product." Of you haven't lost 50 pounds yet. I was like, you're looking at it wrong. I was like, how's your energy level now? Oh, it's way better. Okay, cool. Are you getting stronger in the gym? Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm crushing it now. Oh, okay, cool. How's your libido through the roof? Oh, okay. How you sleeping at night? Good. How's your appetite? Good. Like, so how's your quality of life? Oh, dude, it's 10 times better. I was like, so, but you're looking at it like you failed because you haven't lost 50 pounds yet.
Right.
But through this whole process, all of those things, when you came to meet with me the first time, if I would have guaranteed all of those things, you would have, where do I sign? Right? But you're looking at the finished product,
Yeah.
which,
All you can focus on
but
is
if you keep
outcome.
on working on what you're supposed to be doing, that'll take care of itself.
Mhm.
Focus on your health. The way you look will follow. But
Yeah.
if you worry about the way you look, the health's not going to follow because you're going to do some unhealthy shit to get there. Right? So I think that's a
Absolutely.
good point that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it applies.
It's like when the coaches say, well, don't look at the scoreboard, the score is 0-0
Yeah.
at
Right.
all times. Is they're saying, focus on the next rep,
Yeah.
the next thing that
play.
you're supposed to
Yeah.
do. Don't worry about the outcome. It'll find you,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then y'all's favorite coach, Rick Pitino, used to say that if you do something you love, you won't be able to fucking keep money off of you. So many people are worried about the money, which didn't happen to me. I mean, I'm not really like passionate about what I do necessarily. I mean, I am, but it's not football,
Yeah.
which is my number one, sports and competition. But yeah, if you're doing something you're passionate about, you won't be able to keep money off of you. So
It makes sense.
Yeah.
he said something like that in an Italian way.
Right.
It sounded a lot sharper.
Right. That was pretty good. I don't know, man. So I guess we can wrap it up, man. You want to leave with anything or?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, just back to the root of all of this. The whole point of AA is at one point in my life, I was at the darkest, lowest point that I know a lot of us have been. If you're watching this, you've been there. Maybe you're there right now. You went backwards. At a point where life felt hopeless and the most basic things seemed like a fairy tale to me that I was never going to reach. The only normal was my life. Everybody else was full of shit. And it just seemed like I was never going to reach any type of prosperity. Even the most mild of prosperity, I was never going to be able to reach that. And through AA, through a spiritual awakening, I was able to start to change my life. 13 years ago, and now today, I do own a business. I do coach football. I do have 3 boys and a place to call my own and vehicles and resources but none of that means anything compared to just the peace of mind that I have when I wake up in the morning. I mean, I know you guys remember I'm waking up. Oh my God, another day of this shit.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
every day, man. I hated waking up
Yeah.
in the morning. It was the worst time when you would just open your eyes and realize, here we go, round fucking, 4,098 of bullshit, and start scrolling the phone, thinking, what can I do? Who can I call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The peace of mind that you can obtain, that is attainable to everybody. Everybody can get there. I didn't think I was going to make it. I've had some friends that I didn't think were going to come back, and today they are successful. They are doing what God put them here to do, and we all made it through the same way. Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life. 12 Steps saved my life, and helped me to grow that core that we talked about, to branch out from and do other things. 13 years It seems like a lifetime ago when I think back to that life. It almost feels like a dream. But we can all end up back there in the flash of a moment. But I just want to say to everybody out there that may be watching it, man, you know, it is obtainable, and it's easier than you think it is. You just have to let go of yourself. You got to surrender, and you got to be able to take some good orderly direction in the beginning, and then you can have a whole new life for yourself, man. You know, it's obtainable to everybody out there, and there's good people around that can help you, that can show you the way, and just reach out, man. Get involved. I mean, I'll always recommend to everybody, because I went through a long-term treatment program. Look, there's only a couple people I've ever met that's gotten sober, like, on their own. Like, you guys know anybody that was just like, yeah, I just, fucking got sober? I'm like, well, I had to be forced by the government.
Yeah, I think I question their disease normally when that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're really.
Were you like me?
Yeah, like maybe you just drank a little too much and got in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't know if you're really one of us, and you can just be like,
yeah.
done. Yeah.
But I recommend, to guys that I've helped in the past, man, get some help. The book even talks about, in the doctor's opinion, a state of, you guys can help me, a state of clarity, essentially saying your ass needs to sober up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to go somewhere, you need to clear your mind before you can be reached with any kind of information.
Yeah, the fog has to clear.
The fog has to clear.
Yeah.
So where do you clear the fog? Like I said, I couldn't stop doing anything on my own. I couldn't just go lay in my bedroom for. I'd come out all fresh and shit. Didn't work like that.
No.
I had to be locked up. I had to be incarcerated, and I
Yes.
had to go through treatment. So I recommend, if you're out there, if you're struggling, man. I mean, I hear it from guys that I know today that I'm still trying to help get their life back together. That went back out. Well, I've got this job. Well, I can't because I've got this apartment. I can't because, like, dude, what the fuck does that matter?
Yeah, you're gonna lose it all anyway.
You're on the verge of dying or losing
Right.
everything.
Yeah, we did an episode about that
Yeah.
specifically. I listened to it today. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, fucking throw in the towel, man. You'll get your job back, or better.
Yeah.
Get another one.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you're not building rocket ships for fucking Elon Musk or something.
Right.
Dude.
It's like, where do you work? I'm a cashier at Walgreens.
Take your ass to treatment,
I work
man.
8 hours a week. It's
I mean,
like, come on, dude.
Go in somewhere, get in touch with. There's plenty of people who can help you. Go in somewhere, clear your fog, man, and restart your life. That's all you gotta do is hit the reset button. It is obtainable. I know it seems unattainable. It seems like you'll never reach anything. Like I said, we've been there, I've been there, but you can reach it. It's actually right fucking there. It's actually right there for you.
I mean, we're all three proof that that's true.
Absolutely. The name of y'all's podcast, Living Proof. There's all kinds of us, man. And I know that if I can do it with all of my, mental rules and issues that I've had along the way. I mean, I was essentially programmed to be this way, not and from an early age of stealing and hustling people and just my whole environment and the rules that I grew up with staged me to be. You could say that I was born to be this way or kind of ingrained to be this way. If I can do this, if some of the other people that I know can get out of that life and do this. Anybody can, man. Anybody can.
Absolutely.
Just fucking do it.
Right on. Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on, man. This was awesome.
Man, you did great.
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate y'all having me.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys. We will catch you next time.
Yeah, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. Thank you.